Good morning, Yasha Allah, and good morning, world. I come in the midst of my brethren, Yasha Allah, and together we come in the name of our Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, Yeshua. You know the names, brothers and sisters. Give honor where honor is due. So, in the name of the Revelator, Mashiach, Yahweh Shai, who is the author of the revelation and gave it to our elder, Yochanan, to show to his servants things which must come to pass quickly. And he sent and signified it. He sent that it might be known by Yochanan to distribute the word to his servants. And so we begin this lesson by acknowledging the time. We are in a period called the sealing time. And in recognition of the weightiness of the subject that we should be presenting to the world at this time, all through the earth, the tribes of Yasha Allah are commissioned to go ye into all the world and preach the good news. He that believeth and is baptized shall be saved, and he that is contrary shall be like a ship without a sail. Shakataba. In any case, we are continuing our study on Anuk, the book of Anuk, and as well, we're doubling with messages, word concerning our present state of affairs in the battle against Gadriel, whom the Apocrypha, what they call the Apocryphal writings, the writings of our forefathers, that Esau sought to cover as his. But concerning Anuk, who has a word for the generation of the last days. That's the opening caption of his work. Go and read it, the book of Anuk. Esau calls it the book of Enoch, but that's a stolen legacy name that is put there. It is Anuk, belonging to the Hebrews, 12 tribes. And we're going to be paying attention to this 36th chapter of Berishith and tie in with Anuk to get the completion of our delivery. So all are welcome to hear the word of our King that he has given unto us 12 tribes of Yasha Allah to pronounce to the nations. Sheka Tataba. In Berishith 36, we are warned concerning a situation with Esau's son, sweetheart. We are concerned with the concubine, the lover, the sweetheart of Eliphaz's son, the son of Eliphaz, and his whereabouts. In Berishith 36 again, we have it that in verse 8 says, thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And in verse 11, the sons of Eliphaz, who was the eldest son of Esau. So it gives a listing of the sons of Eliphaz, Esau's oldest son. And in verse 12, it says, and Timna was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son. In other words, Timna was the sweetheart of Eliphaz, Esau's son. And she bore to Eliphaz. In our common language, for instance, in the Bahamas, we would say, child, she had baby for Amalek, for Eliphaz. And the baby's name was Amalek. That's how we say it locally in the Bahamas, in that broad English. Child. Timna had a son for Eliphaz. And they married. They get married. But she had a son for him, man. A bouncing son. His name, Amalek. That's how they say it, on some wise in the Bahamas. In that non-committed way of speaking. And so thus we say Timna was born to Eliphaz. So Timna, of course, this was her. Well, I don't know exactly how to characterize it. In any case, Timna had a son for Eliphaz, and his name was Amalek. And we have found Amalek to be an evasive character for our study and our concern. We have found Amalek in due course in the book of was it Exodus? Oh, let's see. I gotta search a little bit now. So forgive me if I'm a little slow with these scriptures until I get my feet wet. Bear with me, Yasha Allah. Um, hmm. Well, let's look at Isaiah 49 and 10 to get us started. Isaiah chapter 49 and 10. Isaiah chapter 49 and 10. I'm a little slow beginning here. I need your patience, brothers and sisters. Belakatama yaha. Isaiah 49. Oh, Boshakadaba. $39. I know we have some dead air for a moment, trying to get this over on the course. Uh, all right, so I think I need to go freelance until I get myself in tune with what we need to do here. We come to share the word with you on concerning Amalek, because the scripture tells us in the book of, I believe, Jeremiah, that Esau hid himself among the people. And this hiding of himself among the people was meant to make him a hidden entity. He has hidden himself among the people so that even now, after all these years, after he has been doing so much damage in the earth, all through the earth, with particular emphasis on the 12 tribes, done some catastrophic damage. And people are still arguing whether or not Esau is real. So I guess you can imagine. If you didn't know, you have to imagine. What kind of fella is this? Doing all this damage and nobody seems to know who he is. Nobody knows of him. Nobody knows his whereabouts, how to identify him. And so, but we, 12 tribes, who have suffered the catastrophic damage of national battering, breaking for so many years. And in this last period, I mentioned 400 years, 400 solid years. How can you hide? How could you hide and damage a nation for 400 years and not be discovered? How is that possible? But he has a king over him called Gadriel. Gadriel, yes. And let me show you a little bit about Gadriel from the Apocrypha. This is the book of Anuk, and in page 69, well, 69, how should I describe it? I forget the number of this parable. Anyway, the actual page number is 84 in this ancient book of Anuk that is put together by the slave master who wanted to have relevant authority of this book, of the writing, of the contents of the writing of Anuk, which they call Enoch. So on page 84, that is, and then I'm trying to get the category of the this is in the third parable, 69 of the third parable. So it states that after this judgment, they will terrify and make them to tremble, because they have shown this to those who dwell on the earth. And behold, the names of those Malachims, and these are their names. The first of them is Semyaza. I think we came in touch with that name a little bit earlier. The second, Artakifa. And the third, Amen. The fourth, Kokobel. The fifth, Turael. And the sixth, Romiel. The seventh, Daniel. The eighth, Niquael. The 9th, Barakel. The 10th, Azazel. The 11th, Amaros. The 12th, Batariel. The 13th, Busaseiel. The 14th, Hananel. The 15th, Turel. And the 16th, Semapesiel. The 17th, Yethtrel. The 18th, Tomael. The 19th, Turel. The 20th, Rumael. The 21st, Azazel. These are the chiefs of the Amalekims and their names, and their chiefs over hundreds, over 50s, over tens. The next paragraph is teaching of the Amalekims. Name of the first teacher of the Amalekims, Yaquan. He is the one who led astray all the sons of Alahayim. This is taken from the book of Anuk. And brought them down to the earth and led them astray through the daughters of men. I want to read that again. The name of the first of the watchers, the fallen ones, in the time of Anuk. The first is Yiquan. He is the one who led astray all the sons of Alahayim. All the sons of Alahayim, that is those who came down as watchers, and brought them down to the earth, led them astray through the daughters of men. The second was named Asbiel. He imparted to the set apart sons of Alahayim evil counsel, and led them astray so that they defiled their bodies with the daughters of men. As first mentioned, defiling their bodies with the daughters of men. So we look at weapons that the fallen ones taught the men of their day. And you need to get the understanding that this depiction that we're reading of here, according to Anuk, is before the flood of Noah. In fact, is before the fall of man. We got to get it right now. We have to get our time bearing right. So all this is happening before the fall of man. And so, dealing with weapons, the third name was Gadriel. This is the hidden name of Satan that, what was the boy's name? Amalek. This is Amalek's buddy, Gadriel, Satan, whom Amalek, in his partnership with the Horites, the demon's children, he fathered a half son. Why the scriptures call him a bastard? Because the father had several wives, but the mother of Amalek was not married to him, to Eliphaz, Esau's son. And this is where they get the title of bastard for Amalek, who was the leader of the crucifixion of the Mashiach, along with the Levite You remember the Levite, the priest, the despicable priesthood that fell and gave place for the sons of Amalek, who were children of the demons, to come in and crucify the Mashiach. And then following the crucifixion of the Mashiach, realizing that they did not gain what they were in search of, but rather that they lost. They had a great loss. Humpty Dumpty, and all of Satan's horses, all of Satan's men could not get Humpty Dumpty together again. Try as they would. All right. Again, the third of the chiefs of the fallen was Gadriel. It is he who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve. Want to hear it again? The third was named Gadriel. He it is who showed the children of men all the blows of death, and he led astray Eve, Hawa, and showed the weapons of death to the sons of men, the shield, the coat of mail, and the sword for battle, and all the weapons of death to the children of men. From his hand they have proceeded against those who dwell on the earth from that day and forever. So we're trying to give you a backdrop into the beginning of the confrontation that, from our standpoint, that began in the Garden of Eden. And we're seeing, as we learn from Anuk, of the fall of the Watchers, so-called, these fallen Malachims that were expelled from the courts of the Shamayim before Adam and his wife were created. And Esau would not tell you this in his offering of the scriptures. This was hidden from you. You open the book, Berishith, Genesis, and you come right into, I mean, as it were, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And he said unto the woman, that part that we just read, that happened some while before the creation of man, was left out, not known. And another word of caution that I offer you is that there are brothers who had this knowledge, who got this knowledge sometime before now, before I've gotten it. I had hints of it as I was growing in my understanding of the problem of sin. But there are brothers who had knowledge of it, and they were giving us to understand that one thing they said was Adam was not the first man. Some brothers were teaching that for a while, but they would not, as we might say, spill the beans. They didn't want to spill the beans on the satanic order. So they kept it to themselves. They had some understanding of this book of Anuk and the early beginnings of humanity, whereby it's given to understand, as we're now finding out, that before man was created, Gadriel and the fallen watchers were already cast down, cast out of the Shamayim, cast out of heaven. And then the creation of man became a reality. However long however long a time between them, the fallen ones being thrown out of the Shamayim and the creation of man, we do not know. I mean, I do not know. There may be a record of it somehow, but I do not know. And neither does the general population of us. Well, I assume, at least some of us, have not known this. The way that our scriptures open up, as though the Most High created Adam and Hawa, and it's like the next minute, or we might even put it to say, the next week after their creation, Gadriel was right there, putting his boot to them, to get them into his clutches. But we have a word in second Ezra chapter 2 and verse 22 and 23, I believe it is, that speaks of that it was envy that caused Gadriel to attack the couple in the garden. And this leads to the view that something was going on, for some kind of period of time. And so the story of the watchers, according to Anuk, becomes more understandable and sets its reality upon those of us who are seeking to understand the truth. That a civilization upon earth was established before Adam and Hawa. And then we are told further on in our scriptures in the books of was it Isaiah or Jeremiah, that we were made to be the assistants of the Most High concerning the evil ones in the earth. We were to assist them in managing a proper relationship to the Torah, and to live such a life that would bring condemnation on these fallen ones, on Gadriel and his boys. So I say again, I have the understanding, and I think now that you're hearing what I'm saying, you take the understanding that you have received from the things that came out of the mouths of some of our brothers. We may say older or elder brothers who were spouting out that Adam was not the first man. They had some understanding of the book of Anuk and what was transpiring on earth previous to the creation of Adam and Hawa. And now we're getting it. So we see that Gadriel he was the one who led astray Hawa, showed the weapons of death to the sons of man. All right, I think we can pause with that for the moment. We're looking at the relationship of Esau to the Horite, whereby he fathered a son he had a grandson from Eliphaz, his first son, who achieved having a son with the Horite, the demon people, Satan's people. And from that half son, Amalek, came a brood of vipers that snuck in under the what do you call it, the birthright offering unto Esau. They snuck in and began to spread their evil roots. And so we can see the wisdom of the Most High in not allowing Esau to have a perfect ownership of the birthright. That was to his credit, that the birthright was his. But we see the situation that occurred between him and Yaakov that led to Esau's rejection of the birthright. Shakataba. And in his rejection of the birthright, the color of his evil mastermind began to come out. There are many who have wanted to brand the Most High, with cheating concerning the birthright. But if you understood that another brother or sister saved your life from someone whom you thought, someone whom you believe was a dear friend, or even a brother or sister, but because of your knowledge and your understanding of a secret mission that was going on, they were able to save your life. Would you have gratitude for that? This is the position that the Most High was in. He saw Esau from afar. And though Esau, as we see in Ibrahim or Hebrews chapter 12 or 16, something like that, it says that Esau shed much tears over the birthright. Well, what kind of tears could they be when he had I guess he had a number of hidden daggers concerning the Most High that we as humanity did not see. But because the Most High saw it, he was able to avoid the mistake of granting Esau permanency in the birthright situation. Yahatabalaka. And so we find in is it Berishith. Oh, 1 second. Oh. I'm having a warfare going on here right now. Yasha Allah. Wish you could pray with me. Let's see what it says about Amalek. A long time ago, even as his people, he and his people set their eyes on permanent rulership in Yasha Allah, which the Most High had not taken from them, still hasn't taken it from them. They were ruling from the early days, from the time of near the first Exodus out of Mitzrayim. They were ruling in the earth for a long time. I mean, it's like throughout the whole course of the earth, they've been ruling. Edom. There were breaks in between, when Yasha Allah took the reign away from them and they were back and forth. They have been back and forth all through the time. Well, let's read this verse in Berishith, Shemot. Shemot chapter 17. That is Exodus chapter 17. That shows you the battle that Joshua as the one who became the leader of the nation of 12 tribes with the death of Moshe. Yehoshua, let's read chapter 17 and verse 13 on down. Chapter 7 of Exodus, verses 13 to 16. Get your book and read. Exodus chapter 17, 13 through 16. And Yehoshua defeated Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said to Moshe, write this for a remembrance in the book and recite it in the hearing of Yehoshua, that I shall completely blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under the heavens. And Moshe built an altar and called its name Yahweh Nissi. For he said, this is what the Most High says, because a hand is on the throne of Yah. Yahweh is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation. At first glance of these verses, this scripture, with the backlash, as it were, of brothers in the nation, brothers who come through the back-breaking experience of 400 years of cruelty under Esau. They're still trying to lift Amalek. Let me put it directly. It's not simply Esau, it's Amalek, Esau's son, bastard son, who call themselves the Jews. It is Amalek. That was putting the fight to Moshe and Joshua. You know, there was a birthright grant, and you know, Esau stood forth to grab it some kind of how with the you know, the cooking of the porridge that he wanted to get from Yaakov. And that situation assisted him in giving up what he wanted to give up. I'll tell you something, what I discerned, that Esau was frightened about receiving the honor of the birthright. He was in hesitance. He was in hesitancy about accepting the birthright. That's what his condition was, because the evil of his heart, you know, made him afraid to really reach out for it, as he might have wanted to do. But because the deepness of his the intent of his heart was such that, in my own view, I believe he trembled to accept the birthright outright. So he kind of played around, you know, like he didn't want it, and so it gave time for Father Yitzchak, it'll have some consideration about it. All of them. But the Most High certainly stepped in to thwart the evil plan of Esau, who was setting up, as I began to show you some time ago, when he did his hunting expeditions. Gadriel and his hosts were already fallen from the Shamayim. In fact, by the time of Esau, it is rather late in the game, as you know, that societies was already being set up under different nations. Nimrod and so forth were ruling in the earth and under the will of Satan, Gadriel. But by the time we get to Adam and Hawa, the fallen ones, according to Anuk, were already set up. They have already set up their hierarchy to fight against the Most High. And so we are told in the Apocrypha that the envy of Gadriel against the couple, when he sees them, He's envious of them. I think that's beginning to open your eyes. So we have had brothers in the nations in Yashala who perhaps were conversant, I use the word loosely, with the book of Anuk and got some understanding from the book of Anuk, but were afraid to share it with the rest of us. So they kept it to themselves and, look at themselves as the guardians of the nation, having the truth of the fallen ones and the evil intentions of Esau hidden to themselves. Yeah. Okay, I'll read this one more time. Exodus 17. This is after the battle that Joshua, along with Mushday, fought against Amalek. Remember, they had to put something under Moshe's hand to hold his hand up as the battle was being fought, because it was a long battle all day. And so Yehoshua held up Moshe's hand and helped him in the battle against Amalek. It's a fierce battle indeed. And he said, this is what the Most High instructs to be said. Because a hand is on the throne of Yahweh is to fight against Amalek from generation to generation. And so the one who was, as it were, in charge of the birthright, who turned over the birthright indeed, as we read in the book of Berishith, chapter 20, I think 28, 29, somewhere around there. He was checked. But we see further on that in his moving away from his brother Esau and beginning to set up his kingdoms under his dukes, he connected with the Horites. And the Horites were straight up demon people. And he learned to give himself to the demons and to Satan totally and utterly. And then came out from there, mixing himself with Yashala, to the point that after the coming into power of David, under the direction of Shamuel, when Shamuel had to slay Agag, the sovereign, the king of Amalek, because Shaul wanted to party with Amalek and didn't understand how dangerous the situation was with regards to Amalek. So the Ruach of Most High had to move David to slaughter Amalek. because Esau had no good intention in his heart towards receiving the birthright. So Amalek was checked, and being checked thus by David, we see that in second Samuel chapter 8, I believe it is, where Samuel hacked Agag in pieces. Because of this secret mission. This mission was secretive. And the evil heart of Amalek was not openly understood. He had the hidden daggers that the Most High saw, and that people today, brothers of the slave, the slave exercise, who were broken in the slave mistreatment of our people, or they still want to, they rather let Esau go, because they too hate the Most High, misunderstanding his love and his care and his protection of us in that 400 years, and having allowed them to escape that torture and brutality that Amalek, that calls himself the Jews, what he was putting upon the tribes. They have no gratitude for the fact that the Most High saved them from the horror of Satan and the Horites, the Horite son, that Eliphaz's daughter, or Eliphaz's son that he fathered by a Horite daughter. They have no understanding of how grave the situation was. I mean, the brutality of the 400 years should have said something to Yasha Allah, that the people who were enslaving you thus were not, I mean, to all appearances, they were not human. And for the depth of destruction that they wrought, that they accomplished among the 12 tribes, no one in the right mind would think that these were normal people. But it was Esau who committed himself to the Horites. These were the demon people, and married, well, had relations with the Horites, and thus the half son, Amalek, became leader as one of the what do you call him? The Duke, one of the dukes, yes. Amalek became one of the dukes. I suppose the venom of his dedication to the Horite group, who were children of Satan, suited him very well. And so, with the portion of the birthright that was chipped off by Yitzhak unto Esau, it's easy to see that Esau allowed Amalek to become a dominant ruler among his chiefs, among his dukes. And thus the Jews were outfitted to create all the destruction in the earth that they have done under the browbeaten title of birthright, whereby the world looked at them as, a brood of humanity whom were thought to have been robbed of birthright, not realizing that these were demons in disguise, satanic dogs, satanic destroyers in disguise. Shika katataba. They have done their work in the earth. And if you let Biden and Trump tell you they were not satisfied with the accomplishment of the destruction they have wrought in Yasha Allah, fully demonized. I think they asked for 500 more years. like our brother Howling Wolf, Howling Wolf, with his plaintive blues song, how many more years? But Amalek wanted to know how many more years he could have to destroy the 12 tribes, some more. And you have brothers advocating for the Jews, the demonic, satanic children of Amalek. They have her right, Shokotoba. And so we bring you the excerpt from the book of Anuk, showing you or helping you to get an understanding of the linkage between the fallen ones that Anuk speaks of. And this was a huge part of the missing element in our knowledge concerning how the 400 years debacle was conducted. Who were the principals behind it? Horror, demonic, satanic, half children of the demons in the so-called Jews. Shekataba. So here's why the Father instructed us to get a look at the book of Anuk, so we could get the connection between about who it was that was conducting this slavery exercise upon the 12 tribes. Satan and his hatred for the Mashiach, for the Most High. Got his entourage from the demon clan of Esau's connection with the Horites, and with thus destroying us. Shekantoloboku Rabadahashta Shabala Kandala Mandete. We're kind of broaching the subject right now. We have, I think, quite a bit more of elucidation to do to this subject, to bring out some of the hidden elements that were not known. I mean, for instance, we've seen lately the advertisement concerning the race theory. Imagine the promoter of the race theory has let me use an easy word, a picture along with the teaching on critical race. And this apparent human being is dressed in drag queen, advocating his race theory, a drag queen who, on the behalf of Esau and Satan, tried to fulfill the words of Isaiah in chapter 1, when he says that except the Most High had left us a remnant, we should be like Sodom and Gomorrah. We'd be all faggotized. Men becoming girls and girls becoming men. That's the message of Isaiah chapter 1. Except the Most High had left us a remnant. Esau, at the hand of Gadriel and Amalek, would have reduced the tribes all to faggots. So I think I'll stop right there for the time being, and we'll pick it up next time. May the Most High bless you, Yasha Allah, and keep you unto the end. So let it be.